This One Up Yours podcast has been brought to you by Eureka 7 Volume 2, The New Vision. Rated teen and in stores April 17th.
All right, everybody, welcome to the weekend. It's a Friday the 13th, but don't be scared. The weekend can start now. This is the One Up Yours podcast on the One Up Network. And we've got an awesome show coming for you today because there's a real EGM special guest with us today, Mr. Brian Anahar. Hey, man, what's happening?
I'm doing well. I'm very happy to be on the premier podcast of the One Up Network.
Preeminent podcast.
The preeminent video game industry discussion podcast.
Yeah. Of course, that's Luke Smith, and Shane is here, which can only mean John is off on assignment, and all we can say is that he's in the Great White North. I'm just going to leave it at
Is
that,
he
right?
playing another driving game? That's all he ever plays.
Hey,
No.
why are you going to do him like that? So let's give you guys who are listening a quick rundown of what we're doing today. In the opening, we're going to have What You've Been Playing. I know Shane has got something cool lined up that the PS3 fans will be happy to hear about. And you know what we didn't do? We didn't really pull any board stuff. We're like so accustomed to John pulling board stuff. And Andrew is right here, right? Did we do community prep? And I'm like, wow. Well, John, we love you. But you know, we have great community content anyway because the second segment is going to be 4-minute warning. And we have, man, I put that new thread up after we did this last time and it like blew up. So we've got enough to do multiple ones. If yours isn't on today, don't sweat it. I'm sure it'll be on in a future one. And then we got news. And anyway, Luke's got buckets loads of news. So why fool around? Let's get the show started. Shane, I'll let you take it away because I know you're anxious to hit it.
Well, actually, before I talk about what I've been playing, I need to talk about what I haven't actually been playing, and that is the remote play I talked about on PS3 last week. So I had only tried it with my network, and the people who told me about it said that like the T-Mobile thing was working, and that you could actually log in from these other
The
places.
Sony PR agents who spoke to Shane.
I'm not naming any names, but so I guess that aspect of it isn't quite functional yet. It will be in the future.
That actually takes care of 6 or 7 of the board threats
Yeah,
from
so-
this week.
Yeah.
My enthusiam was a little premature for that service.
It's a common problem. As you get a little older, it calms down.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we got that one in
Yeah,
quick.
all apologies for that. Sorry, guys. But in happier PS3 news, last week I got to
That's
go.
how he really talks through this whole thing.
Dude, that is-
Happier PS3. Oh my god!
that really is how he talks, yeah.
Holy crap!
Obviously, you're a big fan of the podcast, right? Obviously.
Executive editor, Electronic Gaming Monthly.
Multi-platform.
Well, I mean, we did have to do something with all that official PlayStation Magazine love. It just kind of funneled down
Hey,
through the
I
through
talk
the
about all
dome.
sorts of consoles here. I'm the guy who actually, and unlike you guys who talk about the one game you've been playing for the last like 6 months, I
Guilty.
play lots of different things. Yeah, so shut up. All right. So last week I went to Factor 5 and played Lair. They had a big press event. And they had 5 full levels, which is kind of crazy. Usually you go to one of these things and they have maybe 1 level, 2 level demo. So they had 5 full levels. So it took like 2.5 hours to play all these stages.
It's not that crazy considering they're supposed to be getting close to finishing the damn thing,
Well,
right?
Yeah, so they did announce that it's shipping in July.
Nice.
Isn't it like July 21st or?
They said it might actually be a little earlier than that. But right now, in its current state, the frame rate is not where they want it to be. And they assure us that it's going to be 30 frames per second solid. But in its current state, sometimes single digits. So
Okay, so look, people might be
little worrisome
amazed.
there.
Single digits.
Slide.
What, 3
Wait.
months out?
Really? Single digits?
Yeah, like when you get on the ground and start busting fire on people and there's lots of people fighting you, it would crawl. And they were saying, we're going to fix that. So
So now, before the panic sets in, as those of us around the table know, maybe you don't if you're listening, one of the very last things that gets finished in a game is final code optimization. So
Right.
don't panic yet.
And they would tell stories. They made all the Rogue Squadron games, and they said that at this point in those games' development, it was also like a slideshow, and that all gets fixed in the last 6 weeks. So
Yeah, I
That's
mean-
1080p, right?
It is
native
1080p.
or is it
It is.
upscale? Is it like, what is
it's
it?
native 1080p, like the real deal. And we were playing on these crazy TVs, so like when it was running properly, it was a beautiful game, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen. Because the dragons are just
What about that movie with Matthew McConaughey where he's like
Rain of
shirtless
Fire.
and
They
bald?
actually reference Rain of Fire. They reference a lot of other dragon things, and they really want
Christian
to.
Bale.
They really want to have their own take on dragons and the whole mythology. And then they finally showed off the plot, which we hadn't really seen before,
Right.
and the cutscenes, which are all these real-time cutscenes, and the main character and what's really going on in this world. But in terms of the gameplay, which I think people are most interested in, so the 6-axis flight works really well. I mean, it's similar to what we had played at TGS, but it's just really smooth, really intuitive, and like the combat is pretty easy, which first surprised me because I didn't expect it to be easy. I wasn't expecting to kill other dragons in 1 or 2 hits. I was like, wow, this game is really pretty easy. But I guess they wanted to ramp up, slowly. So the first 5 levels, which is what we were playing, it's not that difficult, which is good because they want to reach casual gamers.
So tell me about what were some of the other levels like? So we've all seen the bridge level.
Right.
Skip past that. What were some of the other
The bridge
ones?
level was the 4th level they showed, and it was the most polished level as well. So you can kind of tell like some of the other levels we were playing weren't as polished. There's one. It's the first level of the game. It's your home city, and it looks this beautiful like sun-drenched European city. It gets attacked by these rival dragons. So like the city's under siege. You start out on foot, you jump on your dragon, and you're fighting all these other guys. You're doing these bombing runs on the boats, and it's really fun and easy. You can just like rapid fire your fireballs like really really fast. It's more like a shooter almost.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, the whole gameplay is really fast. That's what surprised me. Like combat's fast, flying's really fast. It's really twitchy. It's kind of like Rogue Squadron in a way, but
Surprise.
Yeah, you're controlling it all with the 6 axis. It works really, really well. You can lock onto things.
Yeah, well, it works because like that's one of the few times that the controller actually makes sense for motion control, because the way the handles are set, it feels like you're holding reins. And so if you imagine yourself holding reins, then it feels like you're flying. Then
so one of the biggest changes, and this is what the main Julian, like the president of Factor 5, said, is they realized after the TGS demo is that motion control isn't right for everything. So what they did, back then the motion control was also how you controlled your dragon when he was on the ground.
right, you did that twist thing to attack.
Not anymore.
Oh,
Now when you land, which you don't like pressing the 2 triggers, you control with the analog stick.
Oh, cool.
Which feels really much more natural, and you can like aim precisely because you're trying to blow all the little guys away with your breath. You have a stomp attack. If you shake the controller twice, you do this huge stomp, which is really fun and really if you feel like you're really kicking the ass because 20 people just die right away.
So what is the story?
Well, it's these 2 different sides of this planet. In a world where where volcanoes cause global warming, an inconvenient truth. These 2 sides of their religion, it's like religion and
The
global
religious
warming.
zealots.
Yeah, so it's kind of based.
The military enthusiasts.
It's kind of
Religion
based
drove these
on
dragons to
the
war.
problems plaguing our own real world with religious zealots and.
So are you the
environmental-
terrorists?
Well, maybe you are. And then they kind of say that halfway through the game, there's a big point at which you realize the things you're doing aren't necessary.
I'm actually one of the bad guys. Oh my god. Oh god.
Yeah.
What a twist. What a fantastic twist.
I'm sure there's a lot of things we don't know yet about the
Choices
plot.
will be made. Lives will be cast.
So then you go back to the first 2 levels and turn and do them the other way.
All right. So other things we were doing for the first time, there's these other beasts that you fight, and they hadn't been shown before, like different kinds of animals that you have to fight, and you can pick them up and throw them, and
like kitty cats.
no, like
puppy
big,
dogs.
scary,
Big like rhinos.
Yeah, like rhinos and
oily fonts and things.
yeah, like mythical beasts.
As if dragons weren't enough. So it's like an Anne McCaffrey novel.
Another of the levels. This one level is really cool. It's this huge storm is going on. I mean, you can see video of all this stuff on the One Up show, and you go in this giant citadel, which is has all these mouths, and you fly through the face, and you have to go in and kind of solve these puzzles. Like your dragon can actually grab onto things, and by twisting the 6 axis, he turns.
They have crate puzzles in a dragon game?
Kind of turning cranks.
That's next gen.
That is so next gen. Are there exploding barrels?
Yes.
Oh, score!
People put gunpowder in barrels, dude.
Of course.
Well,
they
yeah,
do.
where else do you
Absolutely.
store it?
But anyway, so the Citadel, there's all these different interlocking puzzles, and you have to figure things out, and it's different. It's interesting.
Abort!
Okay, another part, you showed the first boss encounter, and
Now, is that the snaking creature?
it's this giant sea serpent that is a mile long, It's colossal.
Like scale-wise in the game.
Scale-wise in the game is a mile long, and the boss fight was pretty interesting because you're shooting at it, you're doing things, but you're also grabbing onto it as your guy. You actually leap off the dragon, you're grabbing on, fighting it.
Yeah, so that part was more like God of War stuff.
God of the War.
God of the War. That was like God of the War stuff, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Where he's all QTE and you have to press
Yeah,
buttons.
there is that stuff.
Isn't there a lot of that QTE stuff in Dragon to Dragon combat too? Is that right?
Yeah, but it's simpler. The dragon to dragon combat, it's all gesture based. I mean, there's a few button presses, but it's very simple and it's over much more quickly than you'd expect. I think that's what I took away from this is it's not like a slow paced game at all. It's very fast, very twitch.
That's good
very
because
sugary.
at TGS I thought that stuff felt really
Yeah, it definitely
locked in and not so exciting.
Now it definitely feels faster and you're not involved in it that much. It's just kind of happening.
What about, big thing about Rogue Squadron is you're rated after every level.
Well,
or
yeah,
something.
this has all the medals stuff exactly from Rogue Squadron. And since it has online rankings, I mean, there is a real reason to do it. So my big fears about the game is because it's all mission based. There's sometimes some invisible time limits going on. You're not really aware. these missions are being timed, and if you like just
Rogue Squadron players know nothing about that.
Well, so if you just want to like fuck around and explore these beautiful worlds, before you know it, it's mission failed because you didn't do the thing you're supposed to do. And at this demo, it wasn't that good of a demo because there were tons of people playing in a room and it was really loud, and you couldn't really hear your audio cues. And almost all your mission stuff is given to you through like realistic audio cues. Like the guy on the dragon next to you be like, "Hey, let's go do this." So if you can't hear that, and I think if you read the impressions on lots of other sites and talking to other people at this demo, they were upset because they didn't know what to do. They would just keep dying, and you could pause and look and see what you're supposed to do, but most people weren't doing that. So yeah, beware of that.
Weren't you sitting next to a guy who's getting annoyed or something?
I was sitting next to a guy who his job. He decided he was just going to break the game. He wasn't even going to have fun.
So you punched him, right?
I felt sorry for him because he got to play Lair, and all he was going to do is break the game.
What outlet did he work for?
I'm not going to say.
All right. So what else? What else you been playing then?
Well, so one more thing about Lair is the soundtrack, unfucking believable. Like the best soundtrack I've heard in years.
Okay, so what's so great about it? Orchestral?
Well, it's orchestral, and it's the guy who did Sin City and The Passion of the Christ, and he's like a real composer, and it's 7.1 crazy audio. And like the Factor 5 guys are audio guys. They have their own like audio technology that they use, and it's THX, and you could hear it's amazing soundtrack. Phenomenal.
Big ups for that.
Big ups for that.
Big ups for that.
Okay, so what else have I been playing? I played a game for PSP that Namco Bandai is bringing out called Tales of the World something ephemeral eternal Fantasia. Anyway,
made a big impression on him.
Well, no, it's actually a cool game. It takes all the characters from the different Tales of games, which have been like 8 over the last 10 years, and kind of puts them all together in this new like unique fun dungeon hack world where you get costumes for people. It's cute and fun. It's coming out this summer.
It's a Tales game that's not confusing and off-putting.
It's simpler and more fun.
Like Tales of Destiny. Oh my god!
This has the characters from Tales of Destiny. So as something of a Tales fan, I'm looking forward to this.
Cool.
Brian and we just got back from Capcom's Gamers Day where we saw a lot of new stuff.
Yeah,
they were kind of showing their.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, a lot of new stuff. That's kind of like a relative term, right?
Yeah.
Well,
it's everything we kind of knew about.
Well, Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition, which is more or less the same game.
Take 3.
Yeah,
Resident Evil 4, Take 3.
Since I didn't double dip on the PS2 version, I'm going to play this one again because I love Resident Evil 4. And I never played the Ada Wong stuff. And
what a surprise! Another port for the Wii. What a shocker!
At least it's a port.
Holy crap!
Hey, it's Resident Evil 4. It's not Scarface, all right?
No, I mean, true. Resident Evil 4 was great a year ago, man. Like, I'm tired of it. I don't know.
So for $29, you're not going to play it again?
No, I'm not. I refuse.
Well,
I'm not.
Dude, the Wii might as well just start installing docks because it's getting all the ports.
I mean, like, I'm so...
A nautical pun, courtesy of Garnet.
Well, okay, so not everything on Wii is a port. They were also showing Umbrella Chronicles, which is the original, like, more of a light gun style game.
House of the Dead.
House of the Dead is fun.
Yeah. I want a real Resident Evil 4.
So the only level they had there was based on the...
You'll get one, Resident Evil 4 and 5 in 2 years.
So the level they had there was based on assets from RE1 Remake on GameCube, but instead of being pre-rendered, it was all real-time, actually, and it looked pretty good. I'd say it was among the best-looking Wii games I've ever seen.
Because RE1 Remake on GameCube was an amazing game.
Well, but it was all pre-rendered. I mean, this is real-time. So this does show, like, some progress from GameCube. Not a huge, substantial progress, necessarily.
I mean... I'll probably play this game over, Resident Evil 4 because I'm interested in Resident Evil and the franchise, but I mean, light gun game? I mean, come on. On rails, whatever, boring.
You didn't think it looked fun?
Be over in 5 hours, boring. Next.
Lethal Enforcers?
I don't care.
It's like Lethal Enforcers with zombies. That's awesome.
All right. They had another Wii game that's original. It's this platformer called Project Treasure Island Z.
Working title.
This sounds great.
Well, you're this little pirate, and you manipulate the Wii controller in lots of different ways, like turning keys
and like scooping water,
and like playing a flute. You can play a flute.
So all right, we're making fun of this, but that actually sounds like it's on the right track to make a good Wii game.
It is, and they said they had like 500 different items you can use, and I'm sure a lot of them are similar, but
40 hours of gameplay. But what's the best part?
Well, yeah, I think the game looks decent. I'm intrigued, but the stupid part was
yeah, exactly. I mean,
I don't want to make fun of Capcom, but like the producer dude and like the marketing guy were both like, yeah, the awesome feature about this game is that it's a single player game, but it's more fun if you invite your friends over to help you play. And they like went back to this thing like 3 times. I'm like, well, any game is a fun game. You can invite your friends over to help you play by watching. Like, do my laundry. That's a fun game you guys can watch me do. And
wipe my ass.
Yeah, dude, do your laundry does not sound very fun, actually.
That's from a new Nintendo Wii game called The Wife Chronicles. Pretty soon, you can replicate the activity of your own wife.
But this game looked very GameCube. It actually reminds me of this Sega game called like Animal Island, or no one even remembers it. It was like another little cute.
Looks very GameCube, like Eternal Sonata looks very Dreamcast.
No, this looks like a GameCube game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just was not impressed.
Well, there's the Mega Man 20th anniversary. Did they announce Powered Up 2?
No.
I don't even want to.
Well, they showed 2 Mega Man games for DS. One's a
Battle Network 18.
yeah,
Okay.
3 versions: Pegasus, Leo, and Dragon. Yeah.
Gold or I don't
Edinburgh?
know.
Mega
All right,
Man-
Shane's jadedness is like overwhelming.
But you know what? You know what?
I'm jaded.
You know what?
Listen to this
No,
guy.
he's pretty much right. I mean, like, I mean, Mega Man, I guess, has their crowd. That's great, but.
Mega Man definitely has
I mean,
the crowd.
Pokemon's pushing it with 2 versions, and now Mega Man's going 3 versions for that one game.
To talk about happier things we saw, they did finally announce their like new download initiative for Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network platform. And
Is it called Capcom Recycling? What's it called?
well, it's not all recycling. And the recycling they announced was exciting. They showed like the Puzzle Fighter HD remake, which looks pretty rad. I mean, a lot of people like that game. And
Yeah.
Myself all over that, dude. Puzzle Fighter?
I think it's a pretty good puzzle game.
Wait, dude. Puzzle Fighter is like one of the
they're actually fixing one of my problems with it was how unbalanced it was. They are rebalancing the game, which is cool.
I imagine they'll offer the original mode and then like the rebalance.
But yeah,
mode or
like
whatever.
HD graphics, like when the gems are breaking, it looks really good. Actually, online play, all that's cool, and that comes out like June, July.
What
Wow,
about
that's awesome. Now that I'm
But then they announced the game that like we wrote about. Well, Quarterman wrote about it like a year ago in EGM about the Super Street Fighter 2 remake with all new graphics, all HD, being redone by the guys at Udon Comics.
Wow!
And they didn't show it, which sucks. They showed what they want reused sprite to look like, which was pretty amazing. Like compared to they showed like the original reused sprite, a Guilty Gear sprite, and what they want reused sprite to look like. So
And if it looks like that, it's going to be.
They rolled out a Guilty Gear sprite.
Yeah. Well, because they've taken a lot of flack. Because like they've been recycling the same jaggy ass, disgusting sprites. Like Morgan's face in like a Versus game could like cut you. It's so disgusting.
Right.
So,
I mean, props to them for like acknowledging finally saying, "Hey, we know, we see what Team Neoblood did. We get it."
And we've heard rumblings of like other things that, like of that caliber, excitement level coming from this initiative, but that wasn't what they announced today. They instead announced like a nerd game that she was excited about called Talisman. They announced this other thing,
Rocket Man,
which apparently is some kids' license, but the game is called Robotron, and there's only 500 clones of that already on Xbox Live Arcade.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 2-stick shooter.
And how could we forget their other big announcement, MotoGP?
Yeah, they've acquired the rights to publish PlayStation MotoGP games from Namco Bandai. So, yeah, I look forward to that. Milky was excited.
Milky was very excited.
I wonder what possessed them to do that.
Apparently, it has 5.1 billion fans. They rolled out all these statistics, which I thought were hilarious because they said 5.1 billion viewers. I'm like, no, you can't count each person who's ever seen one MotoGP race every time they see it as a different person. Because by that logic, American Idol has like 75 trillion fans.
Going back, I was disappointed though they didn't announce like a Mega Man 2 remake, like with HD graphics or something like that. Could have been cool.
I'd say be patient.
Or like
It's
Bionic
interesting.
Commando or something.
I would say be patient.
Yeah.
Especially given the timing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed right.
They said like they have a lot of stuff coming and they're holding some of it back for E3 and
Makes sense.
But they're really serious about it because they made a ton of money off the Street Fighter on Xbox Live last year.
No Lost Planet 2. No Dead Rising 2.
Nope.
Where's the Megaton? What's the deal?
Yeah,
There really was no Megaton. Not even a ton. Not even
There was not. There was 2 Mega Man.
Well, they didn't.
there were Mega Man.
Among the new things announced, they announced Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law for PS2 and PSP, and they announced.
Wait, what's the Harvard?
It's a Cartoon Network show.
It's like
On
a
Adult Swim.
Phoenix Wright type thing.
Well, they didn't really talk about the gameplay much. They said it's adventure. It's being made by High Voltage Software. People made.
All right, let's let Brian jump in here. What have you been playing, man?
I actually, I just bought a new TV. Luckily, one of my apartment complex paid me to move, and I took that money and bought a TV.
They paid you to move.
They paid me to move. It's a great thing. What you do?
That's a deal to take.
Move into an apartment. Hopefully, they'll renovate it. They'll pay to move out, and then you get a new place and you buy a new TV. And that's what I did. So I've been going back and playing a lot of older games.
What do you have? What, a 60-inch Bravia? Is that what you get?
I know. I don't have a 60-inch Bravia. Once again, he exaggerates. Once again. I don't think anybody knows, but Shane is known for exaggerating
Doesn't
stories.
Mark have a 60-inch Bravia?
Mark
No.
has like a 60-inch
SXRD.
Okay.
And so I got the 46-inch Bravia 1080p, and
Sweet, dude.
I always talk to Luke during work, and I call it the Brav. The Brav. I've nicknamed it the Brav, and I have this thing called the Brav Factor, where I play a game because it looks really good in the Bravia, and I will keep playing it even though it's not the greatest game in the world.
Which leads us to
playing and finishing Lost Planet recently. I just finished it last week.
We just saw the PC version, the improved version.
New and improved. It's better graphics. But I've been playing that, and it wasn't a great game, but like I just kept playing it because it looked really good and sense of scale with the with the monsters and stuff.
Hey, Luke, wasn't that your favorite game of E3 2006?
yeah, it demoed really well. If only that had translated
Well,
over.
you know what the thing was about that game? It was really good when you were fighting, all the creatures and bugs and stuff. But then you got stuck. Then you got stuck in a mech for like 50% of the rest of the game. And
Bait
I was like,
and switch.
I was like, what? And like, I mean, it happens like literally like in mission 6 or something. You
Mech games don't sell. Let's put him on foot for half the game.
Yeah, I mean, I had heard that it was originally a mech game, and then they go, oh, we have to put him on foot to get more of like the North American audience or something like that.
And another reason I didn't like it that much at retail, or really at all, was just because of the multiplayer stuff. Like just the multiplayer gameplay.
Too limited.
Yeah, it just was like limited. I didn't like Skip. I didn't like the mechanic of like, oh, I've been shot. I'm stunned. I don't like that. It's just whatever.
Terrible final boss. I mean, horrible.
Yeah, that's like kind of par for the video gaming course, though. There's a lot. Like, you can do a whole segment on, wow, these bosses at the end of these games that are otherwise awesome and terrible.
Halo 2?
Yeah, Lost Planet's actually a
that's
textbook on forced boss missions. I mean, they're all forced.
Yeah, I mean, it just fell apart at the end, and I mean, I know Mark McDonald loves it. I don't know why. I mean, multiplayer, like Luke said, I played it for 5 minutes and wanted to shut it off. It was terrible.
So would you have like 7'd it, 6'5'd it?
I would probably 6'5'd it, 7'd it. Yeah, I mean,
They call that fording it, I think.
I need to interject. I still have another game that I'm addicted to. Super. You better play it this weekend.
which one?
Pokemon. I'm going to catch them all. I got it today.
Pokemon.
Oh my god.
I have to say, I did see you playing it. I am excited to play it.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I've never caught that bug.
This is the fever to catch.
I've never played a Pokemon game. I've never felt like I was missing anything by not participating in the Pokemon universe.
You know what? I felt the same way, and then I started playing them, and I'm like, damn, these are good role-play games. They're just good.
Until you develop animal husbandry with a Pikachu, you can't really understand it.
But there is one other game I've been playing, and I won't be playing anymore, is Oblivion. I finally started playing it.
What'd I tell you?
And I understand, I appreciate what it does well. That's just not my game.
I respect it.
I respect it completely. It's not my
Amen.
game.
You obviously missed the white versus
And
Japanese.
I know the person I'm replacing right now, John Davison, loves that game.
He does love it.
And I tried. I mean, Damian Lynn loves it. My friend Chris Baker, who now works at LucasArts, now loves it. And no, thank you.
I mean, it just goes to that fundamental thing. Do you want to play a hero that has a fleshed out story, or do you want to create the hero in your own imagination?
And I want a guy with a story. And that's I've realized I want.
See
I want
one
story.
of yours from 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so we're in agreement.
That's the one
on
where you
those points.
called World of Warcraft AIM, I think.
That was a bit of an overgeneralization for effect.
Luke, I know you're all about the Castlevania. So
Yeah.
do you want to give us some Castlevania Chronicles?
I don't know.
Tell us
that I
about
wanna-
what's going on in the world of Castlevania from 4 years
Yeah,
ago.
that's the thing. It's like it's really not that interesting. I'm not playing anything recent.
I think it's cute that you're playing Castlevania on GBA. Actually,
Yeah, I'm playing through Aria of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, and Symphony of the Night all at the same time.
that's confusing.
And I find that's actually getting to be a bit of a problem. Whereas like today, I had to backtrack in Aria of Sorrow to go buy potions to kill a boss. So then as I'm like going through the castle, I'm trying to remember like, oh, is that the beginning, or am I? I'm like going where I would have gone if it was Symphony. And then last night playing Symphony, I was like, oh, is this that part from? I'm like, no, it's Portrait.
Well,
And then,
I walk up and you're fighting death, and I'm like, well, which game? And you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. This is just
Why are you playing three at a time?
because like when I'm at home, I'll play either Symphony of the Night or World of Warcraft, and then if I'm on like the BART or on the train, I'll play Aria of Sorrow or Portrait.
because
I don't know, like something triggered like 2 weeks ago.
But why don't you just finish one of the portable games, and then when you go home, I can understand 2, but 3 is kind of pushing it.
Maybe I feel like playing as the other dude who looks like Alucard instead of Soma. Maybe I don't want to play as like the emo gray-haired kid. That's fine, so I do that.
it's cool.
And then I'm still playing World of Warcraft.
It's still playing World of Warcraft. Surprise.
And I played.
Have you made 70 yet?
No, I've been leveling up. I'm leveling new characters now.
Well, I mean, I can't really say anything because I actually picked back up my Can't Quit You character and pulled my paladin up to 27.
Is that a Brokeback Mountain reference?
No, that's the name of our guild.
Quit you.
I Can't Quit You is like the name of the guild. It's like we play casual.
That is a Brokeback Mountain reference.
It is.
To be specific.
Well, all right, fine, whatever.
I knew there was a reason
I haven't seen the movie, so whatever.
And then
had you somehow missed that? I'm just curious. Had you somehow missed the cultural osmosis of the fact that everyone knows that's from Brokeback Mountain?
I guess so. I never watched the movie.
I haven't seen it either. And then what else? Oh, last night a bunch of us actually on Wednesday night, a bunch of us from Ziff got on to play.
You played that hot new game, Halo 2.
We're playing because we're playing against the Bungie guys next week for the new maps. We're gonna beat their asses.
That must really divide your allegiance, huh?
No, not at all.
Not at all. He knows where he's at home. Man.
So you're gonna be taking them on in the new maps?
In the new Halo 2 maps, yeah. It's like they came to us to see if we want to play them. So it's not. I mean, everyone's sort of being, having a caveat about Mark's really like, oh, it's an exhibition because we're only gonna play the maps for like 8 hours or so because they come out on Tuesday and we're playing them on Wednesday. So I mean, but
not quite fair.
Do you really think that the Bungie guys are sitting up in Bungie being like, we should go play those new Halo 2 maps? I mean, somehow I think they're probably working on other stuff. I heard
that Greg Ford was rocking it. He was beating everybody. That's what I heard.
Everybody not named me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, Luke has major skills at that game.
Like the first game that we played last night, Mark and I just were the first two on. We did a 2v2, and it was like to 30. And it was Mark and I, and we beat the other guys like 30-11 or something, and I had 24 of the kills. And Mark was like,
whoa.
It's like, yeah, did you want to...
Dude, that's stout.
Yeah, it was,
that is seriously stout.
I wish I could have saved the game that we played, the Ziff free-for-all match, because it was just like, it was on Lockout, and it was insane. That map, Lockout is amazing, but like Ryan O'Donnell and Shu are fighting in the middle of the map, and I hit the top of the battle right at full perch, and stuck Ryan, and blew up Ryan and Shu at the same time, and then like shot Mark as he was going to try and kill both of them, and I was like, oh, triple kill.
Because we talk about it all the time, I actually knuckled under and started playing Halo 2 on my 360 because I admitted that I'm never going to turn on my original Xbox again. And I was reminded of one thing, and maybe someone out there...
You wouldn't be able to play the new maps on it anyway.
Yeah, you can.
Really?
Yeah. Shane was wrong. Yeah, you can play the new Halo 2 maps on both your Xbox and your 360.
Really?
How come nobody knows that then?
It was in all the press releases.
I don't know. I thought the original press release I saw...
The original one, but when they just announced the date a couple weeks ago,
Thanks for clearing that up.
Bungie shifted it so that like old Xbox owners could buy the map, but the catch is you can only buy the maps once per gamer tag. So if you're a 360 owner, you'll attach it to your 360 gamer tag. But if you buy it on Xbox, you won't be able to port it over eventually.
So does it identify which console you have and then download the correct version?
Basically, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's ultimately Microsoft originally wanted it to be 360 only, and that was the announcement in November, and then. That's just not the way it ended up playing out. So
anyway, the thing I was going to throw out there is that I was playing Halo 2, and I was reminded of the fact that one of the things about Halo 2 that I always felt just like a little bit uncomfortable with is something about the field of view in that shooter just doesn't... It's like you and I were talking about it. Like maybe it cuts off the peripheral vision differently, or maybe it has a slightly different angled field of vision, but there's something weird about it. Like when I'm playing it, I just feel slightly... Like I have blinders on.
Yeah, well, I'd be interested to know, sort of a comparison screenshot of maybe an FPS that you're pretty comfortable with, and or even if it's like a matter of the first FPS that you played, or
right.
Associate with most of your FPS gameplay. It's just something that has a broader periphery, which is entirely possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the default setting is, but I'd say the most comfortable ones for me are probably Unreal Tournament would be the most comfortable one.
I think Halo feels a little more claustrophobic, but I think it's maybe why people like it.
Right.
Talking about multiplayer, and I know what I've been playing a ton of, and I don't know why, is Resistance multiplayer.
Yeah.
Dude, Resistance multiplayer is good.
Yeah, I think it's good, but I still think it's way too twitchy for a console shooter. It feels like it's a PC shooter. Maybe on a console.
It's not like Halo. I mean,
yeah, I have to say, I hope when Insomniac does make the sequel, which I know they will, they tone the speed down a little bit to make it more feel like Halo.
It feels a little loose, like Time Splitters is loose in the way that the Reddit
because the single player isn't that crazy, but once you get 40 plus people freaking duking it out, I mean, it gets you're just whoever presses trigger first.
I call part of that also on map design. I think that there's probably some room to grow on map design there.
I just think I'm not great at first-person shooters, but I mean, it is it's so fast. I just couldn't. I mean, I'm trying to get used to it again.
One more note before we move on, too, because it does tie to Resistance. We played, there were 7 of us from Ziff on last night, so we did big team battle. And then I was like, it's unplayable. Like when you play like 7v7 because it's not dedicated, it's just like whoever's got the best modem or whatever. Like it's just not like they absolutely need to do something like that.
Well,
or they might as well not advertise 8-on-8 as like a feature set unless they can get the net code better. Because you're going to be playing like 4v4.
On this very show, you have hinted that they may have dedicated servers for Halo 3.
If there's going to be a game that you would do dedicated servers for, you would think.
Or roll it out on.
Yeah,
I mean,
you would think. Or I don't even know that there's a way. I don't even know if there's a way for you to dedicate your box in Halo 2. I've never done that where you dedicate your box to have it be dedicated. But playing Big Team Battle, which was just 7-on-7, it was pretty terrible.
Really?
And
That sucks.
I always read the anecdotal stuff about how happy people are with like big battles and resistance, and that's just not an experience that you're getting.
Yeah, I
right
have to
now.
say, if 40 players, it runs beautifully. I will say that they did that right, and 32 feels good. I will say the technical side of it.
it's not rocket science, man.
It's just
Totally
I
not
just
rocket
wish
science.
all they had to do was just tone it down a little bit in terms of speed.
That would at least make me feel a little bit better about my live investment too. If I felt.
I really think that, you know what, like, you may never have a chance to do it, but if you ever play like some Quake 3 Arena, it's so much map design because Quake 3 Arena is like the super fastest
See, because I
Twitch fest
kind of
ever.
like
and
Resistance's map design. I think it has a good variety, but like.
Okay, so maybe the game speed needed to be better tuned to the map design.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's like, I tried to snipe somebody. It was like, yeah. Right.
So I don't have terribly much new to bring to the table. I've been playing some Command & Conquer 3, playing the single-player campaign on PC. I love the cutscenes. Freaking Billy D is so awesome.
You're playing on both, right?
Yeah, well, we've been playing also on 360 because we played Team the other day with me and Shu. We played against John and Darren, and well, Shu and I kind of rolled over them. It's unfortunate John's not here. It was really funny. I played the scrin, and like I've been reading online about how maybe they might be a little out of balance. No, yeah, I know how to build. I have a decent build strategy. I know what I'm doing. But basically, like, I single-handedly rolled over everybody while Shu held down the defense. The scrin was just, they were stupid.
So they're pretty fair.
Yeah. The problem with the game, as far as, like, the tactics go, is that it's...
Let's just to be clear, and I'll stop interrupting you then. Are you talking 360, PC, or both?
I think in this case, both. Is that... If you want to play a strategy game for tactics, this isn't it. They're better tactical games because in this game, either getting ahead in the tech race or getting ahead in the powers race puts you in an almost invincible position. I was rolling into their bases with tier 3 equipment, and they were like only putting up tier 2 fight. And it was stupid. It was stupid sick. And my tier 3 had been upgraded with like tech advances as well. So they really, even though they had an overwhelming number of units, the tech 3 stuff just so overwhelmed them that no matter what tactics they applied, their strategy wasn't sound. So it depends what you like.
I just like going to Shu's office, and he had the USB camera set up so you could like see, and I would just flip off John, and then I would run away.
That's good.
That's what I did.
I'm sure he's really happy with you.
Yeah, so that's that.
That's what I
the
did.
single player is a lot of fun. Command & Conquer is like half the fun is like getting to like the next cutscene so you can watch Billy D act a fool or you know.
So the 360 version's in better shape now than it was when you saw it back.
Yeah, it's in. The single player in
John
360
seemed to really like it when I talked to him about it.
It's gotten a lot better. If you have a standard definition television, you're still. You're screwed. A, you're in the wrong format. It's too compressed, like side to side. And B, you'll never be able to read half the text. But if you have HD, you have a reasonably large screen. It's in good shape. The control menus work really well. Like the ability to order up reserves without having to hop around the map is a huge time saver. There's tabs.
I asked you about this, and he said that even though it does work fairly well, he still missed the mouse. And the mouse would have been more effective.
Yeah, it is more effective.
Yeah.
I totally agree with him. Yeah,
I still see him playing Battle for Middle-earth, though, on the weekend.
Always.
Yeah, and so you know what's really funny is he thinks that he's he was like talking about how he liked the 360 control version better for some of its innovations, but that he had like become so familiar with the BFME system that he kind of was like, this is natural. I'm at home with it.
I think he eventually decided he just likes orcs more than tanks. Actually,
That
That's
makes
fair
sense
enough.
considering the whole like nerd game thing.
But if you have an HD TV, there's absolutely no reason not to get it. And playing it on 360 is cool. Like if you play on 360, the coolest mode is that there's a mode that lets you start off with like a force field wall where you can build up your economy before you attack. So it gives you time to like build your economy, get built up, and then actually play with the high level weapons. That's the fun part. So that's cool.
And you've been kind of on the mend. Have you got to play anything else? You've been.
Yeah, dude. I had like the death flu after we got. You've been sick?
Yeah.
It's like we all.
Sorry.
Yeah, we all picked up the death flu, and it's horrible, right? And the rest, like I was telling people last week at home, laying in bed, DS Front Mission, man, Front Mission, it's fantastic. It's so good. So good. That was the DS version. There were people like asking what game that was. It's the DS version. It's supposed to be coming to America. Square doesn't have any more details for us, but yeah, you should totally look forward to that.
All the games you can play Front Mission on DS.
Dude, it's really good. I mean, you don't know.
Dude, I'm playing like
F-minus.
5-year-old Castlevania games.
Garnet Master Tactician.
not Master Tactician. Man, Front Mission is really not that deep. Front Mission is really a very simple game. You know, it's just a matter of like getting yourself in a good position, sometimes letting them attack first so you can counterattack, know what weapons to equip, and away you go. But it's cool. And it's big robots. Big robots are always.
You would love Lost Planet then, big robots. You love it.
You know what? I loved Lost Planet on foot. I thought the rappelling stuff, like with the grappling hook, was awesome. But the mech combat, not
Yeah, you
so
don't even
much.
do that enough anyway.
All right, so that's what we've all been playing. If you stick around here in just a minute, we're going to come back and do one of our patented 4-minute warning segments, and we have all kinds of good stuff. We're going to kick it off with one that hits very close to Brian's heart. Little issue of whether or not to preview games. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to One Up Yours, part of the One Up Radio Network.
Check it. This is the sound of us walking across your mom's ass. GFW Radio. Listen to our podcast. Yo, yo. GFWradio.oneup.com. Podcast.oneup.com. Get it at the iTunes Music Store every Tuesday.
All right, the stopwatch is primed. The coin timer is ready to go off, and we're going to hit it on 4-minute warning. Let's start it off right here with one from Pixelated Soul. He asks, what do you think of the idea of the press not previewing games at all? The first time the media would get their hands on a game would be a reviewable copy. How would that affect games coverage? Would this be a good thing for the industry? And would it lead to information being more controlled?
Well, that's Dennis Diak's pipe dream that he supposed on our EGM podcast, and I think it's insane and never going to happen ever.
But a week later, he was on IGN with Too Human, and they're going to show like a bunch of preview shit early next week.
Brian,
so I guess Too Human's done, right?
Brian's our previews guy, big-time previews guy at EGM.
I mean, so why do we buy magazines or why do we read websites? For A, what's like going to come out, and then B, like what just came out and how did it do? So you're taking like half of video game coverage and removing it. That's moronic. That's like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard anybody ever say. And I'm not gonna lie, like when he said that, I was so stunned, and because he was such in a heated debate with Mark McDonald, I didn't want to step in, but it was like the dumbest thing I've ever heard come out of a person's mouth.
I mean, the way it works right now, companies do a pretty good job of controlling the message, controlling what we see. They usually don't show us shitty versions of games, you know, like
it's not my freaking fault.
Yeah.
You put your game on the show floor, okay? It sucked. Everybody said it sucked. Deal with it.
Wow.
That's pretty.
So, I mean, but how would that? Okay, so we've established that it would be bad. Now let's like jump to the hypothetical. Like, if previews go away, you lose 50% of the coverage. A lot of people are only looking for coverage before the game really ships anyway, because there's not much of a tail.
Well, there have been times when this has happened. Something like Super Paper Mario or Grand Theft Auto Vice City, where you really only saw very limited assets about a month or two out from the game, and that's all you have to go by. And what happens is people don't really know what they're in for. Luckily, those games have IP that people are already interested in, so they know they already want to play those games. But
yeah, I would say, I mean, one thing, it would be the death of interesting new IP games, because how would you ever get people involved?
Unless you're a sequel, I mean, like, what is it to Human? If you hear about it and it comes out in 3 weeks, who knows?
I mean, like, exactly. Like, I mean, a whole part of doing previews is to get the word out. I mean, get the word about a new property or whatever. I mean, if it is a sequel, I mean, so you're telling me you don't want anybody to buy your game? You don't want anybody to know about it?
I mean, do you not want movie trailers also? You know?
I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. I can understand holding something back till you're not comfortable with it, but to remove preview coverage altogether, I'm like, that's more like people read about video games because they want to know what's coming out. Oh, what's going to be coming out in the next 6 months? What do I look forward to?
What's going to be in it when it gets here?
Yeah, it's like, What?
I mean, in a broader picture, come on. We play games as an entertainment. It's an entertainment industry. You want to be excited about what's coming up in your entertainment. Same reason you look at movies. Same reason that people pre-release videos and tracks for music. It's because you want to get excited about that stuff because when you're not playing a game, it's cool to just kind of daydream about, hey, I can't wait to see this game.
And guess what? Grand Theft Auto 4 teaser trailer proved that because the whole internet crashed the day it came out. So if that doesn't prove that people care about stuff before it comes out.
The guys here spent 30 minutes drawing conclusions like from the very littlest details of a video. I mean, that was really.
I mean, as much as I respect Dennis, I do think that there was a little bit of sour grapes on his part, and had it shown differently, would he still feel that way?
A little bit sour grapes. The big baby showed the game to IGN the next week.
I think that was, out of all the things he said, was the dumbest thing I heard.
But that IGN preview still isn't out.
Well, developers have huge. I mean, they have a huge personal investment in a game. I get that, and no reasonable developer is sitting there thinking, I'm going to make a shitty game. They're all thinking they're making the best game in the world. So when they get a poor reception, of course it cuts them. But if you're going to be an artist, you got to be willing to.
And
take
guess
that.
what? It ain't my fault that you put the game on the show floor. It ain't my fault.
The thing is, too, though, to be fair to Dennis, it's not really his fault either. I mean, that's not a decision that, in this particular case, that's not a decision that Silicon Knights made.
Okay.
That was a decision that was
now
made
there
before
are
them.
there are exterior pressures between publishers and developers on what's going to be shown and when it's going to be shown, right? But the bottom line is whatever is being shown, whatever is being put out there is that product, is personal, and you have to be willing. You can't wear your heart on your sleeve if you're going to do something artistic.
Well, and the same reason people just show CG trailers, it's not ready to be shown yet. Just show me a CG trailer. It's a sizzle. It gets you excited. It doesn't necessarily have to show a whole lot.
But the whole part of our industry is we want to know what's coming out. All gamers like to see what's coming out 6 to 12 months down the road, and to remove that, you're killing it. And then the other side is no one knows about your game if it comes out.
There you go. Number 2 comes from Famtq? Anyway, what would you guys consider a good balance between difficulty and enjoyment? For example, shumps are hard, but very enjoyable.
Shumps? I think you mean shmups.
Oh, shmups. Yes,
Does this
sorry.
count toward the 4 minutes?
No.
Shmups are hard.
You called it a shump.
I read past it. Shmups are very hard, but very enjoyable to a lot of people, while Ghostbusters on the NES no one likes. Give examples of what games pushed you to the limit, but you loved it.
Before some pussy says Ninja Gaiden for Xbox.
Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden is fantastic because it made me get better at the game. By the end of level 2, when you fight that dude on the horse, you realize, holy shit, regular enemies can kill me. I better actually learn how to play this fucking game.
Metroid Prime 2 Echoes.
Jesus, that game's...
Oh my god, that was
There's some fucking
hard
bosses.
It was so gratifying.
But it's rewarding, yeah.
And the one I'm playing right now, Guitar Hero 2 on 360, dude. I mean,
Are you playing Expert?
I'm playing hard, dude. Expert.
What's your band called?
What is my? It's one up OG Funk or something stupid like that.
Oh my god! Why wouldn't you be like the Generals Lee or something like
Generals.
I think Greg Ford's band is Ford Taurus.
that? Yeah.
But you know what's funny is I look at my friends list and like everyone else is playing medium and easy.
You've digressed.
But yeah, but because you have to go. So the whole deal of it is you go in and you practice and it gets better and better and better.
But there are
because you
games
get
that
better
are
at it.
too hard, that are not rewarding. That are just like, fuck you, game. I'm not going to play you anymore. You're just too hard. Well, there are a lot of shooters like that. Like,
I was gonna say, well, Ikaruga is the game that Ikaruga was the game that I was gonna say.
yeah,
Jesus,
Ikaruga, I never finished it. Level 4, couldn't get past
Yeah,
it.
that's
Couldn't get past it.
I got to about the exact same point. Couldn't get past it, but that was a game, and these are like my favorite type of games, like Ninja Gaiden, where the game is so hard that as you're getting better, you can actually see, or you can watch someone play the game, and if you're watching someone who's really, good at the game, it's like watching. It's
like a ballet.
Yeah, it's like a ballet, or it's poetry in motion. Watching someone, if you watch someone play Ninja Gaiden who's super good, and they're like nailing the parries and countering and like going through the game, and it's basically like they're just dancing through this game. And that's awesome. And you could get the same thing with Ikaruga.
The last boss of Shinobi for PS2, hardest fucking boss. It took me like an hour to beat him, and I finally beat him. I was so happy.
I would say the original release of Devil May Cry 3.
Oh Jesus!
I was like, that was ridiculous.
I turned it off.
It pushed me too hard. Yeah.
I was like, I'm done.
So
like
hard.
when you had to backtrack and all that.
Well, the fact they broke the save and continue system for America, like they made it like broken on purpose for us, and then later fixed it in the collector's edition or whatever. Yeah, thanks.
That's
So I mean, on a design level, then where's the balance?
I like a game to be difficult and challenging, but to still be rewarding. And there's smart ways of doing it, like the kind of things that Naughty Dog did, where if you died like 20 times in a level, it would actually make it easier, like invisible things like that.
God of War eventually the original God of War gives you a choice after you keep dying, or someone says, "Do you want to change the difficulty?" I mean,
yeah, I think that kind of like fluid difficulty level, it's very new, and it's a really smart way of doing things. But a game should, I think, be set fairly hard. Normally,
I go with the Ninja Gaiden route, which is like actually make it to where the game, it has to be a smart game. It has to have a game that has enough intelligence built into what you're playing against, enough good AI that it matters that you learn how to play the game. Because once you learn how to play the game, by the time you get to the Bone Dragon, you can tell who's really invested the time and who hasn't. Because a lot of my friends said, man, I got to the Bone Dragon, that thing beat the crap out of me. And if you got to the Bone Dragon and it was beating the crap out of you, it was because you hadn't taken the time to learn how to use all of the different attacks.
But a great game will ramp up the difficulty regardless of what kind of level gamer you are. I mean, you'll kind of learn the game and learn the ins and outs. And when you get to that Bone Dragon or whatever, like whether you a great gamer or not, you'll know how to handle that situation.
Right, without super hard spikes, without lulls that put you to sleep, without any. I mean, and ultimately, if it gets to the point where you feel like you're going to like throw the controller or break it or whatever, then it's stepped over the line, right?
Well, if I'm just going to throw the controller because of the 360 D-pad, does that count?
It depends on the game. Some games where like I really want a challenge, like if you go back and play like Super Mario Brothers Lost Levels, Super Mario Brothers 2, like by the end of that game, it's fucking absurd, the platforming, but I respect it because like it took it so far. Like, what's the hardest Mario level you can ever design? Here it is, and like just challenge yourself on the ultimate level. That's fun.
All right, next one we've got is from Mr. Billy C. Billy C asks, do you agree that reviewers everywhere are still trying to learn how to review Wii games? It seems like the reviews and scores for Wii games vary by a large margin from different gaming magazines and sites. Is it because reviewers don't know what motion sensor control have to be considered natural or clunky? Games like Dragon Ball or SSX on the Wii are trick and combo based, which has you to input different motions to pull off different tricks. You can consider it clunky because you have to, anyway, whatever, yes. So where is the line between intuitive, too simple, and clunky?
I think that the genesis, where you have to start with answering this question is point out it seems like reviews and scores for Wii games vary by a large margin from different gaming magazines and sites. And that's sort of indicative of a secondary problem. The secondary problem, or I guess the primary problem, being that not a lot of sites and magazines use the full scale. So is this an actual difference, or is this a perceived difference? Are you seeing a wide variety of 7s to 9s? Or are you seeing like 5s?
I think he might be onto something, because here at News of David's Empire, we do use the full scale, and among people at this table and people at EGM, we have huge disagreements. Like Brian and I disagree on Wii Sports a lot, and like when I saw the scores come in for Cooking Mama, I like upturned the table. I was like, what the fuck? This game is getting 7s and 8s? It's like a stupid mini game that looks like retarded,
but sing the praises of Wii Sports.
Well, I do sing the praises of Wii Sports.
I don't even want to start.
So wait,
there. I don't think
it
has to do with I think they're talking about the controls. Like the whole thing about the Wii is it's supposed to be easy, it's supposed to be natural, it's supposed to be intuitive. So we're reviewing it a lot based on just be able to pick it up and play the game.
But see, I don't think it's control. I think it's the value, and like I don't see the value in Cooking Mama, but obviously the people who reviewed it do. Or I see the value in Wii Sports, and you don't. I think because these games aren't regular games, you can't compare them to what you've been playing for the last 5 years. Like everybody has their own idea of like, is this?
Well, so that's part of it, and so part of what Billy's coming into this is an approach of: are you learning how to? Well, we don't learn how to review any platform. We don't come into reviews with a set agenda or a filter that says, "Oh, this is a PS3 game, so it should have blah blah blah."
There
blah.
are expectations for use of functionality, like with DS games and Wii games. I feel like we do. Like if a game doesn't use the innate functionality of the system, it's like, well, why is this here? Why is this game on the system?
But ultimately, you review the game based off the content in the game, not based off the platform it's on, right?
That's true. But if a game came to Wii and didn't use the Wii mode for anything at all,
silly. Okay, then it would be a silly port, and we would kill it because it was not because it was just dumb. It didn't work right on the platform. Given that a game is on the right platform for it, you're reviewing it based on the content, not based on some agenda that you have for what it should or shouldn't do, right?
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, Blur, which he mentioned Blur. Blur didn't get knocked down because, Andrew, you wrote the Blur review, right? You didn't knock it down because of the fact that it was on Wii or didn't do something. It was because it didn't work, right? So, I mean, it's not like Andrew needed to learn how to review games.
At the same time, I think a lot of these Nintendo fans are so excited about Wii that they're willing to be excited about any port that comes their way.
Well, they're willing to be excited about
Amen.
They're willing to be excited about the learning curve of like learning to replay a game because it is like their favorite console. It is their favorite thing. It's like, oh, this girl's so hot, but God, she's dumb. I'm just going to deal with it because it's going to pay off in the end. Well, that's exactly this. I mean, it's the same sort of mentality that you're seeing here. It's a willingness to accept and relearn because of it's your console of choice.
What'll happen with the Wii is as games, where is the line drawn between intuitive, too simple, and clunky? Well, it's drawn in the eyes of the reviewer when they're playing the game.
As it's always been.
Exactly, as it's always been. So you play it. I mean, when you play Wii Sports, it works, right?
Right.
And so it's intuitive, and you know it works. And when you play Cooking Mama, you're like, wow, this is... And I'm looking at Shane, so I'm saying this in Shane's viewpoint. But I mean...
By the way, sorry to interrupt, Garnet, but... The problem with Wii Sports isn't the controls. The problem is 3 to 5 minigames suck.
I think 2 of them suck. So we disagree there.
By one, and he thinks it's the greatest thing ever, which he calls me out during the 1UP Awards. Thanks. Okay, next.
All right, the next one is from Prague, and Prague asks, do you think the involvement of people such as Peter Jackson, John Woo, and Steven Spielberg in the games industry, whose grounding is in the movie business, will be beneficial or detrimental to the industry, and do you think that their games will be any good?
Oh, God.
I don't know.
I think it's beneficial in terms of awareness and getting people to like think about games in a more serious context. But so far, the fruits of this labor have not been that great. I am excited for Spielberg's game more than the others.
But my problem is, like, you talk to these guys about movies and they can probably talk to you all day long.
Right.
But do we really know how much these guys know about video games? I think that's my question. Like, we all latch on to Peter Jackson liked Beyond Good and Evil, and we all latched on the fact that Steven Spielberg said he liked, Eco or, Shadow of the Colossus or something. But come on. Do they really play games? Do they really know games? They know movies.
Right.
So can they maybe add something? I don't know. Like Shane said, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, well, I think we agree that like the fruits of their labor haven't been seen yet. But what would make me optimistic about this is a eye for production process and what can be done overall as far as setting scenes and storytelling and those elements that people want in more interactive adventures. For certain kinds of games, can these guys have a big impact? Absolutely. But they need to have a partner that is also rooted in the game business. Just like we don't want Microsoft to go off on their own and make the Halo movie, we don't want Peter Jackson to come into the game sphere and just make a game.
I also think it, like you said, it has a lot to do with who you're teaming up with. Like, it's good that Peter Jackson is teaming with Bungie, a AAA developer.
Right.
Hopefully, Spielberg has a team at EA that is really kicking ass. Like, I think it's the talent that they're working with. I mean, if you put, a top tier movie director with, Joe Schmo developer, it's probably going to come up to crap.
Wasn't Chronicles of Riddick sort of born out of this?
It was.
Because Starbreeze brought the game side, and I'm trying to think of
Tygon Interactive.
Okay, there I knew someone.
But Vin Diesel is apparently a huge fan of games,
right?
And D&D, pen and paper, also. So he thinks he knows what's good about games. And that game was good, but so far nothing else has come out of that. The Wheelman, but you're saying that he's not a...
No, he's still from what I've heard, he's still involved in the project. Right. Yeah,
but I mean that's the right kind of mating here, right? Is having like the production concept side, maybe an eye towards like, okay, here's how you set a scene. Hey, this is how you would want to. Here's where you want the camera in this environment. Right. Here's what you want the lead actor to do.
But we kind of all know that like these guys aren't really that involved. Like maybe they'll okay some things, they'll see some presentations, but it's not like Spielberg and Jackson are like in the trenches, like, oh, this level doesn't play right. No,
they're not there during crunch time going, no, this level's not, this boss isn't working right or something.
Right. They're busy making the next movie that they're going to make a shitload of money doing.
Exactly.
But these games will get tons of press, tons of mainstream press. You'll hear about Spielberg's game, and he'll do PR for it, and that'll help it. And
so that's a whole other angle. I mean, now we're outside of design concept. Now we're talking about PR, and as a PR move, it makes a lot of sense.
No, it is. It's a PR marketing move to get these guys on your game.
So I'm going to stay optimistic and hope that there's still some creative side. I got to ask Luke a question. You went and saw Grindhouse last weekend, right?
Yeah, I did. I saw Grindhouse.
Can you imagine, like, is that schmaltzy enough or is that crazy enough it could be a game? Either of the double features?
I think that the Robert Rodriguez one is like already like Area 51, basically. I mean, it's basically, the same sort of, it totally could just be like a first-person shooter that takes place in a world where aliens become zombies and people.
Because he wasn't mentioned here, but I always thought Tarantino could do something absolutely whacked out.
All the projects that he's started have never came out. There was a Reservoir Dogs game.
Right.
That came, it sucked.
Kill Bill got killed. Yeah.
The Rodriguez supposedly was a Sin City game in development. Got killed.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. Next one up is from Plastic Tiger. Plastic Tiger asks us, as game journalists, do you even care who wins the console wars? If so, what are the incentives or reasons which drive you to care about it? Does the vocal, often fanboyish nature of a hardcore gaming audience prompt you to frame references or features in the console war light, or do you simply see the video game industry as well-established oligopoly where the bickering over market share is largely conducted by chat room fanboys and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so fanboys, no fanboys.
Well, I mean, during my time in the gaming world, different people have been on top. Atari, Nintendo, Sega, Sony. And, it doesn't really change gaming all that much depending on who's winning. But as long as the fight is good and people are fighting a good fight, it sucks when there isn't a good fight going on. So I think right now we have a really interesting fight with 3 really strong players, and it's a very exciting time.
I think, first of all, I don't give a shit who wins. I mean, I would like to.
If Wii obliterates everything, then that kind of changes the landscape a little bit.
Yeah.
If that happens, I don't know if I want that to happen necessarily.
I have to agree with Shane.
Not that I don't like Wii, it's so different, and it moves us back 2 years in terms of graphics.
I just no. I mean, I don't personally care. I mean, about who. I'd like to see everybody succeed because that means I keep my job. I mean, people start. You know, I mean, at the end of the
jobs
day,
are good things.
I want people. You know, I want to keep writing about video games so everybody succeeds.
And
everybody
competition is always good,
as Madden has proved in the last 2 years that they could.
I mean, I think that the bottom line is that especially when you're talking about this in the terms of the hardcore, the hardcore are going to, no matter what, find a reason to own all three of these consoles.
Right.
There's going to be a reason to purchase every single one. And so then you would think that this same hardcore who should be purchasing every single console, because there is a reason to purchase every console, would have no allegiance. But ironically, it's totally the opposite. The hardcore actually has these weird allegiances.
How come you've only purchased an Xbox 360, Luke?
Because there's no reason, there's no game, there's no compelling experience for me on either on
I would disagree because I own all three and I've had compelling experiences on all three.
Dude, the last time you played your 360, last time you logged in was like last October.
I didn't say I'm having a compelling experience right now on Xbox 360.
It was for Phantasy Star.
I'm looking forward to
And sadly, that was a big disappointment.
It was a big disappointment.
And he's still folding on his PS3, but that's pretty compelling
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Like, there's just not, there's nothing for me on PS3 and Wii right now. It's just not there. Will there be? Absolutely. But then you have the real sort of meat of this question for me is, does the vocal and often fanboyish nature of a hardcore gaming audience prompt you to frame references or features in the console warlight? Now, you guys just did Battle Station.
We did.
So obviously, it definitely frames some of your approaches.
Yeah, I mean it's real. You know, like the console war is real, and advocacy is real. You can't pretend like go on a message board for 5 seconds and you'll see it. But it doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's informed, really.
It's a crazy phenomenon that people will get so absolutely brand caught up in a video game console. I mean, I've always been a big advocate of it. I really could care less what the piece of hardware is that's sitting underneath the television. It's what goes into it that matters, because that's why I enjoy playing.
People care too much what's on the name on the box.
I think what people really care about is how the platform holder acts as a platform holder, and that is different. I mean, there are big differences between the way all three of them act.
So that I'll agree with, because like the last time, and as a professional, I would never let like my personal feelings, in any way affect what I was writing about. But I had a big soft spot for Dreamcast, and it was simply because of the kind of content that was coming out on Dreamcast and what I was playing on at the time. I was like, wow, this system is awesome.
Yeah,
I love what's on it.
Because I love Genesis, and I really love Sega Genesis. I was a Sega fan. I mean, for a long time, and it's been a very difficult, fall from grace in the last 10 years.
See, I was a Genesis fan, but Saturn didn't have the compelling software, so I never built that allegiance. It's like, it wasn't because I was a Sega fan.
Well, so you're saying your Dreamcast fandom wasn't like a resurgence of your past Genesis fandom?
I don't think so.
We all love Dreamcast.
I think it was because of what I was playing on it. It was like every time I pulled out the Dreamcast, we had a good time playing a game on it. It was always fun.
For the year and a half it lasted.
And that's a whole other show,
It's
right?
ironic that January 21st, that was when Sega said they weren't going to make hardware anymore, and that's the day Phantasy Star Online came out in America. The best game came out, and boom.
And I think the same thing happens with PS2, and that's where the PS2 allegiance came from, is because so many people can relate to a time that they were sitting around with their buddies in their living room having fucking one of those nights where you're just like, this is the best fucking time ever.
No, it's all PlayStation 1. PlayStation 1 is why people are so fans.
All right, the next one up is from Ermin Nomad. Ermin Nomad wants to talk about this generation being to motion controls as the PS1 N64 generation was to 3D graphics. Pretty self-explanatory, so is this the primitive first step towards actually having motion control work, and is that seen in the Minority Report where gaming is headed, and is that what you want?
Isn't that the apocalypse Shane just alluded to like 2 questions ago?
Yeah, I think it is.
What would happen if the Wii wins the console wars?
But 6-axis also has motion control, so it isn't just up to Nintendo to change gaming forever at this point.
But are you really getting a lot? Is Sony's use of the motion control?
Well, I think as I was talking about Lair earlier, when they realized, hey, this isn't good for everything. Well, that's smart, because it isn't good for everything.
Exactly, a big agreement on that one.
So
but it is good for some
things. Is the Wii painting itself into a corner then?
Well, Super Paper Mario doesn't use a whole lot of Wii motions, and it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I don't want it to.
Not to bring it up real quick, but weren't you the one that was arguing just a little while ago where you're talking about reviews that if a Wii game didn't use the Wii controls, that was a bad thing?
Well, as I was saying, when Nintendo pushes Wii as motion control and then they make games that don't use it, but would it have been better with it or would it not? Who knows? From the ground up, it would have been better with motion control that made sense, but if you're going to port things over, then it's probably better not to.
I don't know. I mean, for me, this generation really hasn't been maybe I'm.
Well, this generation
is about controls for me.
This generation
I don't
is 6 months old, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It has. I think if it's motion control is really the thing, it hasn't shown it to me yet. Like I know, like the Wii's all about it, but there's nothing on Wii that's like, oh my god, it's all about the Wii. Because I love Zelda, but Zelda is not about the controls, and Super Paper Mario isn't about the controls. It's about
Wii Sports is about
great games.
So, there's an irony there because
Please stop talking about that demo.
wasn't the Wii built around the whole idea of the motion control being part and parcel of the entire playing experience of doing games?
I think personally as a gamer, I don't want that to be my focus. I don't want it to be the focus. I prefer to play 360 and PS3. And I'm sorry, I'm a graphics whore. I like things that look really good.
Well, I find it a little weird, like the hardcore Nintendo fans who have latched onto, oh yeah, motion controls everything. Like Wii's right, they're right. Well, like if you were a Nintendo fan for the last 15 years, like why all of a sudden are you like boarding that ship? Like, okay, I'm totally on board with you, Nintendo. Like
the thing about the reason why motion control isn't and can't necessarily be this future is because Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo will at some point, they don't yet, will have so much banking on the evolution of televisions. And Sony especially, their home entertainment business it needs HD to kick in. It needs HD to penetrate.
Right.
They're banking on both the format and their televisions to help drive their PlayStation 3 business. This is not a model that's going to be sustained on the ability to waggle a controller. It's a model that's going to be sustained on the ability to push pixels. Which
and
is
the
exactly
funny part
what the PS3
is
does.
the PS3 bringing in motion control late in the game actually really heightened the awareness of motion control.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't even know that we've been having this conversation. We've been having this conversation in the context of consoles versus the Wii and not like this. My thing about motion control is I'm going to go to what Chris Taylor and we talked about at lunchtime is that when you play a game, do you always want to be on edge? Do you always want to be tense? Do you always want to be uptight? No, a lot of times you just want to sit back and relax and enjoy your entertainment and play your game. And if I'm having to be constantly jumping around on my edge of the seat, swinging things, moving things, that's not a sit back, chill, relax, and enjoy experience. So I would say, no, that's not necessarily what I want. I sure as hell don't want the Minority Report thing. That's whatever. That's a mess.
I think if Microsoft does announce motion control, then that does spell okay, everyone's doing it. It's a road we're going down. It's
I hope they don't.
Unavoidable.
I think it should just be a feature. It shouldn't be the whole philosophy.
There's places where it matters, like Mercury Meltdown Revolution. I'm looking forward to that because that's finally going to get what they wanted out of Mercury Meltdown because you're going to be able to control it the right way since they never did the tilt sensor thing with the PSP thing. All right, so we got a great one to wrap up with here, and unfortunately I cut off the accreditation, so we'll try and catch up in the show notes or something. In your opinion, guys, what direction is the most important step forward in the evolution of gaming? Is it how the player interacts with the AI, a la Mass Effect, how the AI reacts to the player, BioShock, specifically the reaction of the little girl at the end of the Hunting the Big Daddy demo, how the AI may in fact be irrelevant, as in The Crossing, or how we interact with each other through the gaming community like Little Big Planet, or something completely different stood out recently. And this one, by the way, I got the attribution, whatever. It's from attribution. It's from Young Team.
I'd say that's a great effing question.
It's an amazingly good question. That's why I wanted to land on it.
I vote for the interaction with other people through community, not because it's Little Big Planet, just because the others are just different advances in AI.
Right.
And no amount of AI can make up for real people.
Well, that's why I would say that it's actually how AI may be irrelevant. Yeah, I think that that's the next big thing is going to be in this console space. Who can create an experience that's a persistent game world where things are constantly happening, evolving, and players are dynamically affecting the game. Now, I don't know that much about The Crossing. I don't know if The Crossing is the right answer to the question either. But that's gonna hybridize sort of the fourth thing, which is the community. The community is going to exist because the community is going to be the game. When someone finally gets this right, a dynamic and persistent world where players are having real impact. And I don't mean Second Life. I mean it still has game elements. I don't need to go and make sweaters and sell custom sweaters in home or something like that. But that to me is that is going to be next gen. It's way more next gen than do I kill this little girl or not?
I'm going to even take it a step further. It's a positive gaming community where it's not just a bunch of dicks online. Yeah. For me, I'm not a PC gamer. I really don't play PC games. So I don't know how the WoW community is, but 99% of the time I'm online in a competitive game on consoles, 80% of the people are dicks. They're dicks.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't want. That's the evolution for me. It's building a gaming community where it's more of a positive thing. Even if it's competitive, it's not like just some guy yelling and swearing and calling me that I suck.
I might want to get a different hobby.
I know.
It's a hobby that attracts a lot of dicks.
I know. That would be, personally, that would be for me. That would be the evolution.
Gaming kind of reached a crossroads several years ago where, like, now we call them all video games, but there's a sharp difference between the kind of games that we think of like as old arcade games like Pac-Man and modern interactive, like full-blown storytelling, all that kind of stuff, whether it's RPG or action game or shooter or whatever. And I think we're kind of on the cusp of that, or actually in the middle of that divergence again between, online, community-driven, broad-based games like that and like the next generation of really incredible immersive experience storytelling games. So I think that's where
I think the storytelling things that he's alluding to, like the moral decisions a lot of games are talking about, are usually completely fake and lame. I've never been impressed by them. They're always so railroaded and artificial, and you see exactly what's happening, and they don't really affect what's happening.
That's what I'm talking about, though, that dynamic and persistent experience.
They always promise so much from that stuff, and then they never deliver.
So someone may correct me. I believe The Crossing is the game that's coming out from
It's Valve. It's
Arcane Studios.
Okay.
It's the guys over in France who did Dark Messiah, and it's amazing because the idea behind the game is that you can either play it as a story play or as an AI play. And so you hop into the game as a story player and you're playing in the lead role. But if you hop in as an AI player, then you're able to jump in online and immediately, like, think about the Matrix. You just jumped into one of the enemies.
Perfect Dark Zero supposed to have that?
Something like, there's another game like that, Left 4 Dead.
I was going to say,
Left 4 Dead is just like that. You play as either like the four guys kind of, and then you have all the zombies coming after you, and you can play as one of the zombies.
I would be amazed if The Crossing manages to pull it off, simply because they're going to be on the cutting edge of trying to do it. But I think they're really pushing something.
They won't do it because of all the dicks.
I think that you see
griefers like Sean Elliott will ruin it.
You see games like, well, yeah, but you'll have opportunities to play good games, closed games, whatever. I think games like Fahrenheit make a great illustration of where we could go as far as like really, really telling incredibly good stories. I think games like Mass Effect show a great evolution of where the next role-playing game can be.
What's Fahrenheit?
What was that called here?
Jesus.
You just, I know.
Indigo Prophecy.
Yeah, the fact you said that and Good Story in the same line are pretty funny to me.
Fahrenheit was great until the ending. The ending was totally retarded. Okay, fine, I get that. Yeah. But anyway, the point was that the way it dovetailed actually playing the game and being part of the story.
Yeah, it turns into the Matrix and it's retarded.
Yeah. All right, that's the final coin there. And the 4-minute warning. If we didn't get to your question, guys, don't worry. We will go back to the thread, clean it up, or start a new one or something. But you'll have a chance next time. Don't go anywhere now. If you come right back, we have news beginning with where we begin with this time.
We're going to start with Guitar Hero 2's downloadable content,
which I've already checked out. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Someone bring the conch. I think, is that how that word's said? I don't know. Conch.
Shell.
Conch.
Is it conch? It might be conch. I think it's a conch shell.
Raging.
No one really ever says that.
I don't know.
Conch salad.
You collected them in Jaws for the NES.
Wow, I always thought it was conch.
I think it might be conch.
I think Rachel Ray said conch.
Okay,
really? Also being recorded. Yeah.
You're listening to Legendary Thread.
I do have all that recorded.
You are listening to One Up Yours on the One Up Radio Network.
All right, and we're back ready to talk some downloadable Guitar Hero 2 bundle packs.
Pretty awesome, Garnet. You said you got them, the three bundle time suite.
And before people come out and rail against me, I specifically got them because Andrew hit me on the AIM early in the morning. He's like, dude, grab one of these, see if it has all the stuff that they're talking about, see how well it's put together. So we grabbed one set. I grabbed the one that has Bark in the Moon, of course. Had to grab that.
Isn't it the only good song on that 3?
Well, actually, I really like the Exes, so I like the Heyu. And Heyu is actually really cool, has a good bass line to it. And that was a good way to test it because Heyu has a bass solo line where it carries most of the song. And they did, in the Red Octane side of it, they did their part. They put all bass lines in there. They've redone it where it works really well in the new Guitar Hero 2 engine, which lets you do easier hammer-ons and pull-offs. But this bullshit of bundling and the asinine explanation by Major Nelson. Oh my God, dude. Major Nelson, you know what? If you have something stupid to say, here's an idea. Just don't say it.
Yeah, Major Nelson, I don't want to defend it. It is what it is, talking about this. People like to say it's the same because they're Guitar Hero 1 songs, but licensing is not the same. You have to relicense it. It's a different platform. While on the surface it may look fairly simplistic, people are saying X, Y, and Z should be done. But we're not Red Octane. I work for Microsoft, and we're just a conduit at this point. This is like way back to the stuff that we talked about with Q Entertainment and Lumines, where it gets to this point where no one really wants to own up to like who's fucking up this or who's screwing this or that up. And Skip wrote about it heavily this week, and I don't think no reasonable person thinks that $2 for a song is uncalled for. I think that, if I'm willing to pay $1 for a song on iTunes, I'll pay $2 for a song that I can play along with. The question is like, on every single one of these like 3-song bundles, there's a hit. Right. And then the other 2 songs are like, a little more niche, let's say. I used to write about music.
A little more.
Yeah, and this stuff, like, compared to, like, Bark at the Moon, or what's the other, like, big song? There's one that I was like...
Higher Ground's one of them, right?
Yeah, and like Killer Queen, right? And
Killer
it's like,
Queen.
I would totally want to play Killer Queen on Guitar Hero. But I don't want the other 2 songs that come with it. So if you like 2 of the songs in the disparate packs, it's like, all of a sudden you're up to $15 for 2 songs.
When I saw it, like, I was like, well, that's not exorbitantly priced, because if it was all 30 songs, it would be $63. But that's a little expensive. Like, if you get all 30 songs for $40, that's like a savings. I think that's good.
Twist this thing how we want to. We put up our review yesterday, which we held on to because we wanted to see what was going on with the downloadable content, and I had to turn the screws on them because this is bullshit. There's no reason to the whole idea of downloadable content is to give the user the choice. So now you're giving we're not really giving you the choice. We're going to make you buy it in bundles. It's stupid. Listen to us. Make it fixed.
It should just, $2 a song or whatever.
$2 a song. I have no idea what that.
50 Microsoft points.
There's a lot of work that went into it. I'm impressed with the bass line. I'm impressed being able to play co-op. I'm impressed with all that stuff. I'm not arguing the price of the song.
And are they really going to put out, like, I think, Skip, you pointed out, are they really going to put out the cool shit as far as the downloadable content? No. Why? Because Guitar Hero 3 is coming out this fall. Give me a break.
Very likely.
Also, Rock Band coming out this fall.
Yeah,
well, there's going to be a lot of competition in this marketplace, so.
And Elite Beat Agents. And that's really all that matters. Bungie and Microsoft finally announced exactly when the Halo 3 beta, which they've promised in the spring, is coming. And it's coming May 16th, which is like kind of early summer.
No, summer's in June. It's still spring.
Yeah. Have you ever worked outside?
I celebrate the summer solstice on June 21st.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you've worked outside ever, you know that May is summer.
Yeah,
if you've ever had a
much.
job that requires... But the surprise of the whole thing, to me at least, was it's only like 3 weeks long.
Yeah.
Boy, that's short.
Because they want people to see those graphics and go, oh, those aren't really next-gen graphics.
Oh, no, wait, they're alpha. They already told us, like, the graphics are bad. Get ready for it.
I mean, what do you think of that, Luke? I mean, you're a big Halo fan. The fact that, they're not going to have like the real graphics in there, or the
graphics in the beta are like a step different from what we've seen. Like they've talked at length on Bungie about the different decorators and stuff that are going to be in it in the actual beta. Where you have like right now you have just regular grass sitting there, and the grass is never going to be procedural because it couldn't be because you wouldn't be able to see a grenade if it landed. But there's like different decorators and like shrubberies and stuff that's going to like wind and shit like that, and all that's supposed to be in the beta. I have no clue what any of that's going to look like. But the other thing to remember, like, Gears of War is never going to be like the best jumping off point, because like at what point in Gears of War is there any scope or scale? Well, in the single player game, any hint of scope or scale in Gears of War is relegated to simply like map paintings being rendered off in the distance of like a city's apocalypse. This isn't anything that you're actually, there's no like, what's the biggest battle in Gears of War? It's pretty much like either the mansion sequence or the first sequence of the fourth act, where you come up out of the ground and you have that first panel of buildings. And even that, compare that to something, in scale to Assault on the Control Room, or even which is an unfair comparison, because that takes place in a giant fucking canyon. Let's go smaller and more realistic. Let's go Truth and Reconciliation. You should do an enemy count on Truth and Reconciliation versus the first part of Gears of War, and that in Halo's what 5, 6, 7 years old. It's just not going to be a fair comparison when you're looking at graphics, because you have to consider scope. If you shrink Halo way down and make it a corridor shooter like Halo 2, it could look a little bit better.
So let's talk about scope. Why only 3 weeks?
I think only 3 weeks, probably because it's just that's the point.
Because it's a hell of a cock tease. Everyone knows it's a cock tease going in, and everyone's still going to jump all over it. At the end of it, they're going to be, God, I want that shit so bad.
I read people on the internet saying that they were like paying exorbitant prices for Crackdown now on eBay? Like, I have no idea. So
Hope it runs all right. It sucks. It's real slow and laggy.
Yeah, I mean, what's the benefit of having this 3-week trial?
It'll be a stress test, basically. It's like an MMO.
It's very
So you don't think they could do any damage whatsoever?
No, they absolutely could. Are you kidding? You put a beta out and you have a way to capture images from your TV, and you could take shitty screenshots and put up shitty screenshots. I mean, there's all kinds of potential damage from it, but Microsoft and Bungie probably feel like, you know what? We're Microsoft and we're Bungie, and we're fine with whatever people do.
There's also that argument that they roll out there with the graphics not very much improved, that sets really low expectations, so that when they roll in with the final product all dressed up, you're like, oh shit, look at how much they did.
It's true.
And I mean, but the thing is, it's like they're going to have to compare it. People are going to compare to Gears of War, and it's the same consoles, and apples to apples. It just depends.
They'll still smoke the Art and Shadowrun.
But Shadowrun's still fun. The video documentary came out this week, and that was the first look at finally like what the X button does, and so people freaked out about that. It is the shield. It's like a whole new series of deployable items, which I think we've probably said on this show, and probably said a couple different times on the website if you've looked around.
Yeah, lots of people have guessed at that.
Speaking of like downloadable content between the beta and Guitar Hero, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is a game we haven't heard from for a while, this new pre-downloadable content patch like borks the game completely. Like, it makes it so you can't access, I think, right?
You know what would have been awesome downloadable content for that? The button that actually makes it look like a next-gen game. That would have been awesome downloadable.
They couldn't do that. They had to develop for the LCD because it was coming on the Wii. Xbox Live announced their spring update this week.
I gotta jump in here. I'm kind of surprised by the announcement of the messaging, because that seems to me that they're trying to make Xbox a little more like a PC, which is what they didn't want to do all this time.
Oh, they want it to be like the media hub.
No, but they never, ever, ever, ever are going to put internet browsing on it, ever.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I don't know. I think the messaging thing is more part of their whole Live Anywhere deal, right?
The messaging thing. I mean, we talked probably a year ago when we first started doing the show. We're going to celebrate the year anniversary next week, actually. And we talked then about the branding of Windows as Live. So this is sort of like that next step in what Garnet's saying, the evolution of like Microsoft's service into being called Live, then Live encompassing all their products, i.e., Live Anywhere being this eventual, disaster, I guess.
You know what John and I stumbled into while we were playing Command & Conquer 3? Did you realize you can have like 6 private chat channels open at any time while you're playing on Live, and you can like page between them and shit? It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and it's like the same thing now, sort of with the Messenger client,
right?
Like the Messenger client overlay, and it has that keypad that you attach. And if you've had any phone like a Trio or a Blackjack or whatever, anything like that, you're totally comfortable. It feels huge compared to typing on my Blackjack. It attaches right to the bottom of the controller.
You can thumb pretty quick.
And you can thumb pretty quick, and you can also tab through like a bunch of conversations, and it increases some of the friends list complaints. It expands your friends list into 2 groups. Like you still have your 100 friends, but then you have like 600 Messenger contacts. So I mean, there's some stuff that's good, and then a lot of like little tweaks to Live that are coming. This is not overall like a huge.
Not so much of a big update though, right?
Just kind of like a lot of little functionality stuff and like detail pages, which are, to me, a bit of like Sony's got this game space, this thing at home. We should have a page for developers, maybe. So they showed something like that. And I mean, who knows?
Do you think that little keyboard that attaches it opens the door to more MMOs, or
it could
finally opens the door to WoW?
No, because the gateway to WoW, it's like beating a dead horse. The gateway to WoW is not the keyboard. It's not. It's the UI. It's the customization. It's the modification. It's the ability to write LUA scripts to apply to your game only. It's that sort of stuff. It has nothing to do with the keyboard. I mean, you can find a workaround for a keyboard. The keyboard, the next batch of Gears of War maps are going to follow the Halo 2 model. Mark Rain and Tim Sweeney were on was it just last week?
It was just last week.
And Mark Rain headed over to Evil Avatar to comment there. He said, quite frankly, Xbox Live Marketplace isn't our store. It's Microsoft's store. Like any retailer, they have the right to figure out what goes on their shelves of their store and what price they sell it at. Hang on just a second. Just a second ago, wasn't Larry from Microsoft, Major Nelson, saying that Red Octane is setting the pricing for this? What's going on?
It is what it is.
It's bullshit is what it is. It's like, who's, now, is it a different situation for Microsoft and Epic? It could be because Microsoft's publishing Gears of
interesting
War.
point.
So it could be
Interesting
this.
point.
And Mark Rain goes on to talk about that. They spend the money to operate the store and deliver the content. They've also spent billions of dollars to create and build Xbox and subsidize its price to blah, blah, blah. As our publisher, they also invested tens of millions of dollars in marketing Gears of War. They've done an awesome job for us. So they have a right to a return on that investment.
Well, I'm glad they're ultimately going to be free because at least the map that I got to play while I was there a couple months ago was fucking awesome. The subway level was, it was fantastic. It was a blast.
This whole marketplace crap, it's just like no one wants to admit they're the bad guy. That's all it is. Like, no one wants to admit that they're going to be the bad guy. It's the way it's the publisher, the developer, Microsoft. Just no one wants to admit, you know what, we're the idiots that make you buy all this crap.
And they all want to play their little economics guinea pig game and see how much they can get and where they, we're still learning. We have to set the equilibrium point, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, no.
The future of video games kind of sucks. I mean, really, like the investment,
the financial side of it.
Yeah, the financial part of it blows.
Yeah, the
really
financial
shitty.
side of it is getting crazy. I mean, if you look at that and you look at like games like Guitar Hero, we could easily run yourself up over $100. It's like insane. And
just to play with a lady friend or a dude friend, you're like $140. All right, cool. That's like half a Wii, which I, maybe would buy if I could find one. But Nintendo says I'm not going to be able to find one because the shortages are going to continue. Perrin Kaplan, speaking on Game Theory, which was the one-time NextGen.biz podcast, said this: "There's a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of working on what we are producing, and the numbers continue to rise. But the product is so very popular that we may see a supply-demand situation last for some time. We are at absolute maximum production, doing everything we can." I really wanted to make like a joke there, but I mean, I think that.
So maybe it's actually cool that.
Dude, it takes a while to duct tape GameCubes together. Okay? You have to strap them around.
No, I think Nintendo, it's a boon that they're pushing all the games back, not that many games, because wait till there's more systems, right?
We talked about
SSX Blur.
Yeah, we talked about that last segment, and EA Montreal responds to some of the criticisms. Did they send you a letter or anything, Skip? A note? Fruit basket? The reaction to the game was very, how can I say, interesting. We got very, very good reviews and very, very bad ones. Bad. Some said that they thought we provided the best control scheme of any game currently on the Wii, while others thought it was the worst. I think it is mostly the same for all Wii games. The public, the game industry, and the reviewers are not at all aligned with each other. Is that true, you think? Is there this this is coming from the mouth of a developer.
Apparently, everybody has to agree on everything.
Well, what's interesting is I think our perspective as games journalists, people in the games business, when we see these ports, these PS2, PSP, GameCube ports to Wii, we're like, oh, we saw this game 6 months ago, tacked on controls, who cares? Yeah. But at the same time, Wii fans seem to be like, well, I love it. Godfather's amazing. 10 out of 10. Scarface looks even better. I can't wait for more ports. And it's a disconnect. We're like, oh, these ports seem kind of lame, but maybe, I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, Blur, in this case, just so people don't jump on everyone, Blur's not actually a port, right?
But it has some tracks featured.
It reuses assets.
Yeah. Okay, but it's not technically a game, just for semantics, before some message board junk.
It's kind of a pseudo port.
Oh God, they're shitting on the Wii again this week.
No,
15-page thread.
No, but that's all because I just don't want to be a port. I don't want to be a dumping ground. I want where's Super Mario Galaxy? Where's Metroid Prime 3? Where's Super Smash Brothers?
Oh wait, you're getting the Wii into the same problem that the GameCube had.
The thing is,
exactly, it's a Nintendo machine.
Well, yeah, like Mark McDonald, a few days ago, he was like, if I had told you 2 years ago that the next generation Nintendo console would be host to many ports from PSP, you would have said, you're fucking nuts. You're crazy. No way. But instead, that's happening, and people are okay with it, which is
Well, I think the other thing it probably hurts Wii is that Wii is probably as much as, maybe more than any other console, falling prey to this whole focus testing thing where, they probably bring people in and bring people in and bring people in. And, let's keep changing and keep changing and keep changing until we get it just right. But I mean,
what are you talking about, the games or the console?
The control schemes, especially like in SSX Blur.
I don't think that's happening. I think people are just like, hey, what can we port quickly? Slapdash, let's do it.
I don't think Blur was like that. I I think that they really invested a lot of effort.
That one.
I'm not saying SX, but Godfather, Scarface, Driver,
Prince of Persia.
All right.
Prince of Persia.
Triple port.
Mortal Kombat.
Double port.
Okay, well, obviously we're on two different subjects then.
Okay, so
Port.
Those are all ports, right?
a guy from some one-up user and Gaff Kid was let into the building this week. Like
Whoa.
he was like given an official tour.
Was it the kid who was walking around yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, he waved at me, and I was like, I don't know who you
I
are, guy.
talked to him for a little bit, and he was surprised when he walked by my desk. Not at the shrine, but at the amount of DS games that I have actually in my cubicle. Like my cubicle, I have a bunch of like DS and GBA
I
games.
often see you playing your DS.
And I need you to actually. I think you still have my copy of Drill Dozer.
I do.
I need to get that back from you. But and this is why I have this little nugget on here. It's their new Oendon 2 screens from Japan.
You know, it comes out in a month.
I know. May 17th, I'm totally ordering it. But I have no ties whatsoever to Oendon.
I got you. Start playing that game. By the way,
it was because you were playing. I was like, if a big, tough, strong man like Brian Intihar can play a baby game like this, so can I.
You should have seen him playing the Little Mermaid part of Kingdom Hearts 2.
That's beautiful. Tear in my eye. Now I can't wait to see it in the Brav. I'll be all excited.
Final mix. Shane, you bought it from Japan, right?
It was $78.
As much as your hat.
The hat that he's wearing right now could have been my final mix copy, but you know what are you gonna do?
So Oendon 2 is coming on. The main reason I care about that, I'm going to import this one, but I just want the next Elite Beat to come to America.
It will.
David Jaffe, this is you don't get to see this very often.
Outspoken.
This is a treat, really. David Jaffe, if he was in Ken Kutaragi's position, he would not have put a Blu-ray player into Sony's PlayStation 3. He said, I probably would have taken the Blu-ray player out and sold it for less money. Jaffe said. So this is like sort of the first time we've seen a high-profile developer in a Sony studio say, like, yeah, maybe not such a good idea. In other news, in the same interview, Jaffe talked a little bit about how he was thinking of like starting his own studio to make like focus on smaller games that may or may not be part of the Sony empire. Do you think Phil Harrison's going to help him out the door? Maybe a little bit. Little Big Planet. David Jaffe. I think it's, David Jaffe going on his own.
Peace out, yo.
Yeah, David Jaffe's first Xbox Live Arcade title coming to Marketplace in 2009.
I think Jaffe's just a real shit stirrer, and he stirs it up.
But how do you feel about? That fact. Would you, if you were in that shoe, would you have taken out the Blu-ray player?
I've said for eons and eons that price is the biggest barrier to entry. If I'd spent $2,000 or $3,000 on a TV already, and I already had like a killer TV, then I would probably have bought a PlayStation 3 because the level of disposable income that I have is obviously high enough that I can afford that. If it doesn't have a Blu-ray player and it's $400, you know what? And if it had a game or like 2 games that I really wanted to play and could enjoy it in the appropriate definition, I mean, I'm glad that I have Live Arcade so that I can enjoy my 360 arcade experience in standard depth.
I think it's when Blu-ray will come into, the fruits of it will be is when one developer goes, I couldn't have made this without Blu-ray. Like I couldn't. Like that.
I mean, didn't Ted Price and Insomniac say that already? We couldn't have got all the 18 translations on.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about something that's a little more substantial.
I think the Xbox 360 Elite would have seemed like a much greater bargain if PS3 didn't have Blu-ray, right?
Yeah, it would have been a lot closer. But instead,
oh come on, the Xbox 360 Elite would have mattered if it had Wi-Fi.
I mean, it would have. Well, the thing is, it's not just $20 cheaper now than the cheapest Sony SKU, which has Blu-ray, because this week Sony officially announced that the 20-gig PlayStation 3 in North America is a rare item, as in it's not happening anymore. It's not being made. Dave Carricker, speaking to OneUp, said, at launch, we offered 2 separate models of PlayStation 3 to meet the diverse needs and interests of our PlayStation fan base. Initial retail demand in North America was upwards of 90% in favor of the 60-gigabyte SKU, so we manufactured and shipped accordingly. The question I have about that particular part of Mr. Carricker's statement is the retailers have basically decided to kill this off then, essentially because they're buying on a 20 gig. I haven't seen the numbers. Some kid will pull it off of a website or something. Whatever the retailers pay, they might even pay $505 or something for the 20 gig, where they could be losing money on everyone that's sold. So why the fuck would they order it? It sounds like the 20 gig PlayStation 3 was like sent to die.
Well, it kind of barely existed. I mean, from the get-go, they never made very many. And you have to wonder if this move is because the rumored 80 gig SKU is going to come out, and the 60 gig is going to replace the 20 gig.
The 60 gig will go to 500, but the next SKU will have more than 80, I would say.
Yeah.
It'll have more than 120, I would guess.
Really? 120 would have been my guess.
I would have said 120.
I bet they'll make it more. Why'd you go even up? You just go big. It's memory. It's cheap. Go bigger.
You would think so. You would think so. You would think 120 gig hard drive would be kind of cheap, but you'd be wrong.
Nope. If you buy an Elite, nope.
At least I can mod a thing like a drive onto my PlayStation 3,
you
an
can.
external HDD.
By the way,
with some serious time.
I'm sorry to go back to Xbox. Why are they calling that the Elite SKU, the Elite one? That's like
I know
totally
there's,
wrong name
there's
for
no
that.
arbiter on it or anything.
I mean, come on now. I mean,
Well,
Elite-
you know, if not for all the leaks, people would be feeling pretty differently about that. Don't you think?
I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot me. This is Major Nelson. Mortal Kombat 2 confirmed for the PlayStation Network now, right? It's
Yeah,
there.
came
It's
out
there.
yesterday.
$5.
Online play.
Yep. Yep. You getting it, Shane?
I hate.
Not a fan.
Well, that's the best Mortal Kombat, but still, no, probably not.
I actually got my parents to play Mortal Kombat 2 when I bought
Wow.
it. I was like, I think it was the last video game they ever played.
My parents would have seen that game, and the first time they saw Fatality, they would have probably taken it away.
Actually,
from me.
it's only $5. I might buy. I bought Q-Bert. I'm weak with things like $5.
What if it's only 400 points?
That's even cheaper.
It's actually the same, isn't it?
Oh,
I don't know.
I thought you meant Nintendo points.
Oh no, that's $4. Yeah, God of War website. There's a countdown, and the countdown was to the God of War 3 unveiling, right?
No,
it was to David Jaffe coming back to the series. Well, probably not after what he said about Blu-ray. It was actually it was to announce that there's a special secret high-res mode in God of War 2 that you can unlock with by pressing L1, L2, L3, square, and circle. And I saw a couple of the game videos guys playing it today, and this is like, I don't know the exact. I can't remember the exact screenshot, but it's like it's 480p, which the game runs at 480p already. But this is like 480p plus, where it has like, it does look, to my colorblind dumbass, it looks a little crisper.
Why hide this?
Yeah.
Well, there's another part. The other part is it's an announcement of developer. It was a developer commentary for 2 levels in God of War 2.
That's
this
cool.
was the countdown, dude, countdown.
Countdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the countdown in 24.
Oh.
All right.
Well, if you care about God of War, pick up the June issue of VGM.
Oh yeah, sweet stuff.
Oh, plug.
Yes, I am plugging.
Take-Two's CFO was removed from his post and replaced Lane Goldstein to replace Carl Winters until a permanent replacement was found. The Take-Two guy, that was the guy whose job was pretty much to find another game to make money off of other than Grand Theft Auto, right? Faith in BioShock diminishing over at Take-Two. Blizzard is going to bring back their BlizzCon. It wasn't there last year. It's going to be here this year. This will become a couple months on the heels of next month's big announcement in May. What's it going to be? What would you go to Korea to announce if you're Blizzard? I don't know. StarCraft.
So are you going to wear your Warcraft cosplay or your StarCraft cosplay?
I don't have a...
I saw your Kerrigan costume, dude. Hot.
Yeah, I actually never played StarCraft.
You know what I read on Blues?
I know.
I read on Blues that it's the same weekend as QuakeCon.
Oh,
It has a top secret game. It's going to rock your world.
dude, we're gonna. Wait, that one didn't print, but that's
Spoilers.
good. Yeah, actually, this tags nicely. BlizzCon's gonna be August 3rd and 4th, so it's a little earlier than the October BlizzCon. So we'll probably talk about World of Warcraft. I bet you that you'll see this game, the new game running, and you'll see the next expansion for World of Warcraft. That's what they'll show. What else? Oh, you just said id's next game is gonna make you say "Wow." I heard a little bit more about it today, actually, and it does sound like something.
Let me guess. It's a first-person shooter.
In space hallways.
With creatures that are like fetuses and demons, and that's what it is.
Monster closets.
Tons. No, it's
Next gen Monster Closet.
it's a little bit different, and this is like a little more psychological.
Comes with a flashlight.
That sounds good. I like psychological.
So will it make you say "Wow"? I don't know. Not really that much does. Val,
Those guys in storytelling, not too great taste that go together.
Valve is eyeing a September release for Half-Life 2 Episode 2. This is at least for the PC version of the game that they're talking, and they're hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to ship everything. Doug Lombardi saying, we're looking at the back-to-school time frame. We don't have a solid date yet. Robin Walker, an engineer at Valve, said, September is entirely self-adopted. If it came to September and we thought the game sucked, we wouldn't ship it. We've held on to it long enough.
Yeah, that's for sure. No argument there, fellas.
Valve, it's done when it's done. And the thing about Valve is, like, whenever it's done, it's normally pretty goddamn okay. But is it really? I mean, Skip, you played Episode 1. I remember. I teased you about it for about a month. How long did it take you actually to play it, though, of actual game time? Like 5 hours?
About.
So, a year of waiting for another 5 hours.
When you go to pick up your pencils and Trapper Keeper, you can go get episode 2.
The reason that I take them to task about all this is all of their bullshit was always that we're not going to do expansion packs because doing expansion packs takes all this time. We can't get them out. And they've fallen into the exact same thing, except they're giving us less content spaced out equally as long and charging us for us. Woohoo! Great job, guys.
Yui Bowl has defended Postal's jabs at 9/11, saying Postal is a necessary wake-up call. I want to find the really good stuff.
The Postal movie that he's working on?
Yeah, the epic film.
What happened to Dungeon Siege with Burt Reynolds? That was done like 2 years ago. Bring it out, Uwe Boll.
He's waiting. He's going to mount an assault on your senses.
I hope.
More like a rape. You must see the full scene in the full movie to judge it, Bull says. He claims that people are unfairly judging the movie based on this alone. Points, and this is, of course, a humor-intended jab at the September 11th attacks on the U.S., which didn't really... Interesting enough, people still aren't finding that too funny. Running with Scissors CEO responded to our email saying, so far the fan mail has been very supportive of Running with Scissors, and even for the film overall. It seems that most people are willing to wait and see the movie before prejudging it.
Did Gary Coleman have a comment?
Gary Coleman was unavailable for press at this time.
Unfortunate.
Uwe Boll's got to be disappointed that the Imus show is gone because that was where he could always show up and have some fun.
I spent yesterday responding to email from supporters and critics alike. More important than humor is that hopefully the Postal movie will help wake us up and remind us that we are in a war against terrorism.
Why doesn't he just go make a movie?
Wow.
I actually think it's probably better for us that Yui Boll's like fucking around with stuff like this rather than actually making the movie. Like, this is probably this is the lesser of the two evils.
Wow.
So that's all the sheets of paper.
But you didn't bring down that great news like the next big thing for PlayStation 3 that I showed you.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, Shane, there's something new and great coming to your PS3.
And your Wii.
Yeah, because they do share similar tech.
What are you talking about?
You can stream music from the Virgin Music's channel.
I did see that. That's pretty cool, I think.
Do you think that we'll be able I wanted, like what I asked you, and I don't know either, but will I be able to plug my PSP in eventually, like connect them, sync them up, and take my stream? Will I be able to stream from my PS3 streaming on my PSP while I'm in Japan?
Maybe.
I don't know. It would be especially awesome if you could just do it at home so you can go to the can and take your PSP and still listen to your favorite tunes.
I'm surprised you didn't comment on...
I want to see if you can fold at the same time.
No, you can't. You didn't comment on the final Opera browser being out for Wii, only 500 points.
Are you going to browse from...
I have the beta. That still works, right? I think I'll just keep that.
And then another thing on Wii and functionality, and they have the weather channel. Isn't that one of the features in the next college football game? Live weather?
Yeah.
It pings and finds out where your game is.
Which, by the way, that was like in... previous editions. Now it's exclusive to NCAA football. Like, Care, why don't you make a game that runs not at like 20 frames per second?
Is there anything else? Any other random stuff we can mop up?
I think we've mopped it all up.
Tiger. I mean, another sports thing. Like Tiburon is now making the Tiger Woods.
Well, they did such a bang up job of Superman. I can see why they got the project.
I know.
Wow.
I mean, that's. That was like their big game announcement. I was like, all right.
Hey, Luke, don't you have some piece of news?
Yeah, the last thing, I guess the last bit of the news is if you saw this week's One Up show, all I'm going to say is, like, it's true, and next week, when everyone's back together, we'll talk about it.
Next week will be a senses-shattering episode of One Up Yours, I have a feeling.
But it'll also be a celebratory one.
An eargasm.
I don't know how to follow that.
Yeah.
Be celebratory because we are going to be celebrating a year of having the specific foursome or fivesome together. And who knows what's going to go on in that. Brian, we enjoyed having you here today. How about
Thank
that?
you very much for having me.
Thanks for not pussying out like I was afraid you would.
Yeah, everybody, I hope the true Brian came out. I hope that was
You got
good
pretty
enough.
angry. You called Dennis Dyack some names.
Yeah.
I did. And
Sorry, you didn't mean it, Dennis.
Yeah, you were basically saying I shouldn't have a job, so you can understand.
You can preview the game when it's shit.
That's right. But you can understand if someone says I shouldn't have a job, I might get upset.
You mean like if someone called the game that you're working on terrible? Like how you feel?
Terrible. That's Mark McDonald.
I think he definitely earned ticket for return. What do you think? Ticket for return, definitely. Ticket for return.
Well, I know everybody's worried I was going to pussy out, so hopefully I didn't.
Nah, good job. Well, you know where to find out what's going to be happening is people will be telling you how you did on boards.oneup.com
that's what I'm
this week.
scared of.
So check out the thread. Tell us what you think. Keep on contributing. And until next week, we're gone.